All right, so trying something a little new here on the way to the card show, Springfield, Mass. Don't know if I said that already. So highly illegal right now, but hopefully we're safe. Trying to stay safe. Anyway, so hopefully the audio comes through and everything. But we're on the way, and luckily it's pretty close for me. So I've got my bag ready. I've got some cards, mostly basketball, but this is kind of a good precursor for me and other people, I'm sure, for the National. So a lot of the cards that I'm bringing with me, I have kind of priced out like I would for the National. Obviously, I'll check them again if prices change. I've got some supplies with me, a lighter bag than I'll probably have with me at National. But the other thing that I think is good, I've been watching a lot of the YouTube videos and whatnot of other people at other shows to try to get a feel for how card shows are right now. I did the same thing before National. It proved well, so kind of getting a feel for the market since I'm not traveling all over the place for shows. So some of the stuff that I've been seeing and hearing from other people, and we'll see if it's true here, is a lot of people are trying to trade. Not a lot of dealers are trying to buy. They're more so looking for, okay, if we're going to make a deal here, it's going to be a trade or it's going to be a purchase. Not a lot of people are trying to purchase with cash. So if you're a cash buyer, it seems that it's going to be pretty easy to get a deal done. So, I'm coming in with a little bit of cash. Obviously, I've been building up some funds for the National, so I'm not trying to use all of my funds here. But you never know if a big card for my PC shows up. You never know when those shots are going to happen. So, got to be prepared if that does. So those are kind of some of the things I'm going to be looking for, is also seeing if what I've been seeing in other shows from other, content creators, if that's true here. Don't know how much filming or pictures or anything I'm going to be able to do in the venue, but we'll see. I'm not usually the biggest proponent for myself anyway, just of vlogging my experience. I want to kind of dive into the dollar bins and whatnot, but we'll see. Maybe I'll meet up with some people. I haven't really put out there that I'm going to the show, so I'm not sure who's going to be there. I know a couple of folks, Rob, the sports card therapist, I'm pretty sure is going to be set up, and also one of the guys that puts on the show at Mohegan, I believe, is going to be set up. So should be fun. $10 entry, not the cheapest, not the most expensive either. But again, this is kind of a good idea for me locally on a smaller scale what National might bring. So this is going to be my second time going to this show. The first time that they had this show, I couldn't because our family got COVID. The second time, I was there for like maybe an hour. My daughter had a dance recital, or not a dance recital, dance competition that took up the majority of our day. It was actually across the street from the venue. So, promised my family that if we had time, or my family promised me anyway, if we had time after her competition was done, that I could go over, and I got over there for an hour, which was not enough time to see the entire floor and everything that was there, but it was enough time to pick up a card. So get a nice Larry Hughes. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I'm getting here, going there, whatever. And we'll see what I get inside the venue, and then I'll show you what I got, and I'll share with you the experience. So hopefully that wasn't too rambly, but trying out something new here. Highly illegal. We're at a stoplight, but we'll talk when I get back. All right, we have returned from the show, so I'm back. Want to share with you kind of some of the sights, what I've heard, and also how the show went for my own cards. So the first thing that I wanted to share is this show. This is the third time that it's run. It's a quarterly show. This is the second time I've been, and the layout this time was a little bit different than the last time I went. It looked like they tried to. The first time that I went, the traffic was kind of funneled by the way the tables were. It was kind of like a main corridor down lengthwise and widthwise, and then some of the tables kind of went serpentined in the middle. I think it allowed a little bit more free flow. People could kind of make the decision of where they wanted to go. Might have also allowed for a little bit more space for vendors and more tables. Not sure about that. It did seem like there was more stuff there, but again, the first time I went, I saw very little because of my limited amount of time there. So not really sure if that was the case for more tables. It definitely seemed like there was more people, but again, I was there at the end of the show the last time. So, you know, got in. I was trying to, you know, see what was there, see the sites, see what kind of cards were there. And as it was, you know, getting there about 12:30, I think the show opened at about 9 o'clock. The timing that it was set to go till was 4 o'clock. It seemed like some people started wrapping up around 3 o'clock, and then 3:30 it seemed like most people had closed up shop for the day. So, you know, it was a little bit of a bummer there. So I was there for about 3 hours where people were participating actively as dealers, and that was not enough time to see the whole show. So the first time I went, I knew I wasn't going to be able to see all of it, but I felt as though I would be able to with more time. But I think I was a little bit more, you know, efficient with my time that first time because I knew I had so little, so I was moving pretty quickly through stuff. This time, I think that having a few more hours, I thought I had more time than I actually did. So as it stood, having that 3 hours, I saw probably like close to 70% of the show. So a good portion of it, but there was still plenty of uncharted territory, as you could say. So, you know, going through the first table that I saw that had 90s cards of interest to me, they had 2 pennies. They had the Flair Playmaker of penny, and they also had the 96 Court Masters of penny, both raw. So, you know, seeing that, I asked the dealer how much he was looking for those. He said he would take $150 for each, or $250 for the pair, which is way above comp. So the Court Masters is the most expensive out of the two. At the very top of the comps, if I remember correctly, it's probably $100 or a shade less. The Playmakers at the very top of comps, again, you're probably at about $50 or less. So for the pair, again, highest comps, probably $150 together. So at that point, not worth negotiating. I have both of those cards. Always nice to get a better conditioned copy if you can find them. You know, sometimes a duplicate that's under comps is fun to have as well, but didn't seem like it made sense. So if I saw any other 90s cards at other booths, I would stop. I would ask if they had pennies, and really that was what I was focusing in on, because, you know, some of the other side PC stuff that I talk about, if I have a little bit less time, even though I felt as though I had a lot more time, it's best for me to hone in on penny and my core PC. Maybe I'll miss some things, but hopefully the stuff would be in the showcase anyway. So you never know if you don't ask, is what I keep telling myself. So you know, I went through, and if I saw somebody that had some 90s cards, I would ask. But I was taking a little bit more time with some pleasantries with dealers, even if I saw that they had, you know, there was a lot of soccer there, or modern, or vintage. Even if it was stuff that's outside of my wheelhouse, I'd kind of check in and say, hey, how's the show going? What are you know, how's the foot traffic? You know, trying to get a lay of the land. In hindsight, maybe I should have done a little bit less of that, you know, skipped out on some of the pleasantries and just kind of like gone quickly through unless I saw stuff of interest. But, you know, I don't know. I usually like to try to be kind and courteous and talk to everybody and get a good idea of how everything is. So I don't know, maybe drop down in the comments your thoughts on that, if you know, the pleasantries are something good to keep up, or if it's, you know, just kind of beat feet to what you want to get to. You know, obviously when I'm at the National, I'm there for multiple days, so it's easier to kind of take your time and get through everything. You know, you don't have as much of a time crunch, whereas if you have 3 hours, or you know, other bigger shows, like when I went to the East Coast National, we had the whole day. Joe, Josh, and I, when the 3 of us went. So, you know, it's a little bit of a different perspective, you know, kind of a mid to large size show when I still have a condensed period of time, as opposed to a smaller show like the Enfield show that we've been to. That's smaller, and having a condensed period of time, it's okay, because 30 or 40 tables I can get through pretty quickly. So anyway, you know, got to recalibrate for the next time that I go to the show here in a quarter, you know, Q3 of 2022 is when that next one will be. So, that's kind of my thinking there, but be interested to hear your thoughts as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get any video to show you the layout or show you some of the stuff that I'm talking about, but maybe next time, we'll see. So, you know, as I went through, I saw a couple more tables with some 90s stuff, stopped to look at it, nothing that really, you know, hit me, and then I got to one, and I asked, as I always did, if he had any pennies, and he said, oh, I do have one. He was kind of looking through some boxes, and he's like, it's nothing special, but, you know, see if it's something you're interested in, and it was the 96 Court Master, so the same one that I saw at that first table, but this one was PSA graded. It was a PSA 8. So I was looking at it, and I said, okay, what are you looking for this? So he looked at the sticker, and he had $60 on the sticker. So knowing from, again, that first one, that is below raw comps. You know, PSA 8 typically, in my experience with 90s cards, PSA 8s are about even with raw comps. but sometimes they can be a little bit lower. So, right around raw comps is, again, if I can see a slab card that doesn't have any obvious defects, that is selling for the same or less, especially less than raw comps, I don't hesitate to grab those and have those in my collection. At least they are protected and I know the condition without a shadow of a doubt. So some of those certainties are nice to have. Again, if it's below raw comps, I don't mind. So I did that at National. I've done that a lot of times. If I see something that, it doesn't have any, obviously if something has a crease down the middle, a really bad corner, yada, 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 that's not going to hold true for my preferences anyway. So he said he would be willing to take 50 on it. And he was interested in looking to see what I had for trade. So showed him what I had. He was looking through. He pulled out a Ben Roethlisberger 2004 Leaf Materials rookie, piece of an event worn jersey numbered to 1250 and a BGS 9. So Ben Roethlisberger jersey rookie card. Not something that it's something I got in a trade, not something I really need to hold in my collection or have any sort of strong draws to. So he was interested in that. I was asking 100 on that. He was happy with that valuation, so he offered to give me $50 and the penny for the Ben Roethlisberger. I said not a problem. He was also interested in my PSA 8 studio rookie of Steph Curry. Sorry. So he was interested in that and was asking if I was interested in anything else in the showcase. And, there was some stuff that I could have, forced it, but nothing that was really something I wanted to get in my collection. It would have been something that I would have just gotten and tried to move again. So I told him, I didn't really see anything, and he said that he liked my valuation. I had seen comps for like 190, 200, and I was putting it out there for 175. Again, trying to take off eBay fees, be a little bit below comps with something like a PSA 8 that's not a low pop or a high demand card. That's kind of my positioning on cards like that typically. So he was interested in it for that price. I said, well, we can work out something for cash. He said, I really don't want to be spending my cash right now, so he would rather just have a trade. So I told him, maybe if I find, at the end of the show, I've circled back, maybe we can try to work something out. I didn't end up going back. I didn't have time. So that was, an interesting thing. I had talked about it before I got to the show that that's kind of some of what I've been hearing is a lot of dealers are hesitant to buy cards, from people that are walking around. They'd rather do trades, or they'd rather you pay cash. People are trying to save their cash for the National or build up their inventory for the National. A lot of, all eyes are focused on Atlantic City right now for the most part for everybody that can go. And that was the case with the talk that I was hearing in the room, and that was the case in my experiences with the dealers as well. So continued on, saw some other stuff. There was a dealer that before I could even say anything, he said, hey, you got any football cards? I'm buying football cards. If you have anything, I want to take a look. I said, yeah, sure. He didn't have anything in his showcase, but he says he's buying. So I pulled out what I have for football, which is not a lot. Nothing that really stuck out to him. He was, focused primarily in his showcase on ultra modern football, which I have very little, if any, of. And the stuff I have is pretty low end, I would say, and his stuff was definitely higher end than what I had. So made sense, but it was interesting though. That was the one dealer that was very aggressively trying to buy, so that was nice to see at least somebody doing that. And then I got over to another dealer. He had some nice looking 90s stuff. I asked him if he had any pennies. He looked around and he found that he had a 96 SPX auto, which is, as you may know, the penny's first autograph. It's on card, really nice card. So I already have one in my collection, a card that I'm hesitant to get another copy of because it was such an iconic card for me. So he said that he was looking for 200 for that card. He was looking for trade or cash, so he looked at what I had and he pulled out the Steph Curry PSA 8 studio rookie as well, so he's interested in that. He said, oh, well, you're at 175, I'm at 200, so we're really close. And he said, but let's double check comps because I'm not sure the last time I looked at my card. So he saw that there were comps around 250 or 300. He looked at my card and said, oh, you're below comps as well. We already talked about that. So he said, I'm going to value your card at 200 and mine at 250 if that's okay with you. So if you can put $50 into the deal, that would be something I'd be willing to do. So we agreed to that. So basically what ended up happening is I moved the Roethlisberger BGS 9 jersey rookie and the studio rookie PSA 8 of Steph Curry for the penny Court Masters and a PSA 8 and the penny SPX auto, which is raw. after taking a closer look at the Penny Auto, it's definitely not something that's grade worthy, but again, a really iconic card that is just a classic. I had really nothing into the Steph Curry other than the grading fee. It's something I pulled out of a pack back in 2009 when I was back from school and ripping through some packs with my brother. So maybe $1 into that card, and then the grading fee, so I was about $50, $55, $60, somewhere around there when you factor in shipping and all that stuff. So that was a win-win for the cards that I got, which was always nice, but not always a guarantee. Didn't see a lot of 90s there. Saw a lot of modern. Football was definitely prevalent. Soccer was pretty prevalent. There was a good amount of wrestling, some oddball stuff. A lot of vintage baseball was there. There's a good amount of very modern, ultra modern, whatever you want to call it, for basketball as well. So 90s, as is typical with a lot of shows, regardless of sport, is not overly well represented. So kind of gotta really look hard to try to find some stuff. And if you find some things, sometimes one of the things I do is if I see somebody that has a couple of 90s cards, I'll gauge, are they sitting there in their showcase, and if they have, just like a base Jordan from, 96 or 97, that tells me that if they're putting that in their showcase, it's probably just to say, hey, I've got some Jordans if you're looking, but it's unlikely that they're going to have some of the rarer stuff that I'm looking for, or pennies and some of those other guys. So, I kept going through. I saw some people, I know we talked at the beginning that I didn't really publicize that I was going to the show. Sometimes it's easier for me to try to get through a lot of stuff if I have a limited amount of time, if I don't say that I'm going to a show. But, obviously I'm going to have fun seeing whoever I see. So that was great to meet up with some folks. Some of the people I knew were going to be there, some of them I didn't, which is always fun. Talked about meeting up at National, so starting to make some of those plans and some of those connections, which is great. And again, like I said, all eyes on National. That was a lot of the buzz that was in the room, is what do you think is going to be going on at National? What are you looking for at National? A lot of talk about the LeBron triple logo man. So that card had just sold, so people talking about what do you think about the price? Where do you think it went? So on and so forth. So there was a lot of conversation about that, about the National. There was also a lot of conversation about what do you think about the market? And it seems like a lot of people are just looking to trade. People don't want to realize if they bought a card at 2,000 and now it's 1,000. It's harder to realize that loss if you have cash transacting. That's really very concrete. It's a cold hard fact at that point. Whereas if you trade, even if you're trading at a lower valuation, that asset, so to speak, has an opportunity to move, and also it's it's not a realized loss on paper, so to speak. Not that people are tracking it but that way, but that's kind of like what I've learned about some of human nature doing deals with cards. So interesting thing that definitely was prevalent. Like I said, dealers did not seem like they were really actively trying to buy, with that one exception. So really, it was a fun time. Really kind of got some of my gears turning for National. Got me kind of definitely in the thought process of what I want to be doing and focusing on and looking for, and how I want to change my approach. Which I think it's always good if you're going to be going to National to kind of get one of these warm-up shows. This is about a month out at this point, but a little bit of a warm-up, so that way when you go in there, you're not completely cold, or you've only gone to small shows. Definitely helpful, but not necessities by any means. There's other things that are necessities, which we talked about on the live stream. If you haven't checked that out with Card Collector 2, Sue's, and 610 Sports Cards, go check that out if you're trying to get prepped for the National. And some other people have started putting out some really good National prep content as well, so there's no shortage. Mine is not the only one, and mine is not the Bible. There's definitely stuff that I've heard other people talk about that I'm like, oh, we forgot to talk about that. But the one that we put out last year, save for the stuff about Chicago, also is pretty relevant. There were some tips that we shared in last year's prep video that we didn't talk about this year. We just didn't have the time. So great stuff there. Again, a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to going to the next one. I didn't get to the trade night this time. I heard that was very well attended, even more so than the first one, which is also great to see. It's an incredible venue. Again, if you're in the New England area and you're looking for a good big show and a trade night, Springfield is a quarterly show at this point, and it is a great one. I can't recommend it enough. Another thing I don't think I mentioned is a lot of the vintage that I was seeing at the show was raw, which was a little bit different. Again, very different than you would expect at National. Most stuff, especially in the showcases, especially for vintage, is going to be graded. So if you're a vintage collector and you're looking for raw stuff, I think the Springfield show is one that you can definitely take advantage of. I mean, I even saw a 52 Mantle rookie raw in a showcase. I'm assuming it wasn't a reprint or anything like that. It looked pretty old and it wasn't in the greatest shape, but surprising stuff like that to see for sure. I definitely would be nervous buying that kind of a card, or like a Jordan rookie raw, but maybe that's your cup of tea, and if it is, then I think that you could probably do well at the Springfield show. So hope to see you there next time. If you haven't gone, or if you are coming, let me know, and maybe we can meet up. Maybe this next time, the third time's a charm, and I can get through all the tables. So we'll see. But that was my experience. That was a fun time. Bummer that I didn't get any video or anything to share with you inside of the show, but maybe next time, we'll see. Maybe I can go there with Joe or somebody, and they can help me get some visuals to share as well. But let me know down in the comments some of the shows that maybe you're going to for a little bit of national prep and a little bit of a test run, or also let me know some of the questions that we asked along the way. Your thoughts on those. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any videos in the future. New videos dropping once, sometimes twice a week. 90s pack openings, looks into my PC, graded card reveals, collector interviews, and so much more. Thanks. We'll talk later.